Good morning. This is our Monday morning training. Today is Monday, March 4th, 2024. We're going to be talking about overcoming objections today. This is not just objections in the home, but even objections maybe when you get to the door. Maybe you're outdoor knocking leads, and maybe you're having trouble getting in houses. And heck, I mean, as much as objections of the sale matter, if we can't get in the door, none of that matters. So it's a combination of just kind of different things to overcome objections at the door, as well as the common objections that we run into when we're in a home, when we're trying to close a sale. So I have Chris on this morning with me. Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
How's it going? I feel like I'm about a game show. You get dropped into a game show and they're like, who's next on the Objection Price is Right?
Yeah, we got some pretty good ones here today. I've even added some, so we'll try to roll through these. Feel free, though, as we go, if you have an objection that you've run into, if it's not on my list, I'll be sure to go through it. And like I said in the Facebook group, see if you can stump us. Maybe there's something that just out of the ordinary that you ran into that maybe you think that maybe neither me or Chris have ever run into. And maybe you'll be able to stump us. I kind of doubt it, but well, let's go ahead and get started. So the first objection: I'm really busy. I can't give you a time. Give me your card and I'll call you to set something up. How do you handle that one, Chris?
That's cute, isn't it? That's cute. Like, oh, give me your card and really? Like, come on. Come on. Like, have you sold more than one policy at this point? If you haven't, you've got bigger problems and you should be knocking a door right now. But let's be real. If you asked a girl out on a date and she said, I'm really busy right now, I can't give you a time on Friday to go to dinner with you. Give me your card and I'll set something up. That's no. That's no. She does not want to go to dinner with you. In this scenario, you need to push through the smoke screen because that's all that it is. This isn't an objection. It's merely a smoke screen. So, Adam, I would just have people better understand this is a smoke screen, not a real objection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. I think a lot of them are smoke screens. I guess we can maybe talk about a little bit about the difference between the two, but I think, yeah, I mean, it's a smoke screen. What do you think is going to happen if you give that person your business card? Like, are you going to sit around waiting for them to call you? It's not going to happen. No. That's almost like saying, well, if I have my own office, I'll just have my leads come to me. It's not going to happen. Yeah, you got to, you have to take the initiative. You got to go out and see the people. But if you give that person your card, it's going to go from your hand to their hand to the trash can, and they're going to forget that you ever lived, and maybe you're going to feel better because you gave them your card. But you know what? This is a game, and they just won. So It's just a matter of being able to overcome that. I'm really busy. I can't give you a time. Give me your card. I'll give you a call back. I usually just tell them, look, I'm already here. This will take 5 minutes. Let's just talk about it now. I know you sent this in for a reason, and let me go through it with you 5 minutes, and then I'll be out of your hair and you won't have to worry about me bugging you anymore. That's kind of how I handle it.
Yeah, just lightly brush it off and continue forward. I think if we stop taking ourselves so seriously and think of this as either a video game, dating, or gym analogies, or baseball references, you'll be able to make a whole lot more sense of the nonsense sometimes people have told themselves. It's a game. Your game is to get in and give the presentation. Did you do that? Nope, you lost. Did you do that? Good, you won. That's the game. Like, how many times can you do that?
That's it. Can you come back? Actually, I wish I could. I wish I could come back. We've had such a huge response that our company, they're only allowing us one visit. So I'm here now. It'll take 5 minutes, and then I'll be out of your hair.
Yeah, that's a very simple, short answer. The more talking that you do to address an objection, the more you lose. Like when you propose to somebody, if you ever gotten engaged before, did you give a 15.5-minute speech on one knee, or did you ask the question? Like, let's be real with each other here. Can you come back? No, unfortunately, I can't. This is a time they have me out in the area, and it only takes a few minutes. And since you're here and I'm here, let's just get this knocked out, and I'll be out of your hair.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see the next one. I don't remember filling this out. Well, I mean, is this your handwriting? I usually, I'll take the card out, I'll show it to them. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if they're looking at it, it's in their handwriting. I don't remember filling anything out. We take people that, we even are able to qualify people that have dementia.
Yeah. Mr. West, if you don't remember filling this out, sir, we have bigger problems than you think we have today. But really, again, it only takes a few minutes to go over what you're qualified for anyway. And by the time you're done, you'll probably remember why you filled it out. Can I take my shoes off, or do you want me just to come in? Like, come on. Yeah. Do you remember what you did yesterday, Adam?
Well, yeah, of course.
Oh, good.
And it's in their handwriting. Like I said, if you show it to them, I'll usually ask them, is this your handwriting? If you didn't fill it out, somebody filled it out for you. And it's talking about the fact that someday you're not going to be here. I'd be pretty concerned if other people are filling these sort of things out for you.
Yeah.
And I've said that sometimes, I guess at the end of the day too, sometimes we can say everything in the world that we want. And heck, it's either going to work or it's not. This is just these are just some tips to maybe help you to be able to kind of move forward, but sometimes they're just not going to work. Adam, why didn't you call first? Yeah. What's up, Chris?
I heard someone describe it once that when you're trying to get into the door, it's like a boxing match, that all you need is like a punch back. And if you don't have something to punch back with, then they're going to punch you in the face and then you lose. Like, it's just whoever runs out of punches is the person that either doesn't get in the home or does get in the home. Like, there isn't going to be a magic way to overcome every objection, but we're at least giving you something to say versus standing there like dumbfounded.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, like I said, not everybody, is going to let us in, but I do feel like, talking about phone sales compared to in person, I think when we show up, we have a better chance of getting in. It's a lot harder for someone to slam the door in your face than to get hung up on. So,
yeah.
But you know what, though? I think some of these too will even work for over the phone. If you were to be in phone sales and you're calling your leads, I think some of these will still even work for over the phone to try to be able to overcome things, to be able to move forward. Not this one. Why didn't you call first before just showing up? I always say that I did. We did call. I called you a number of times. I just know how it is these days. And they usually agree with me. I say, nobody answers their phone if they don't recognize a number. I tried calling and I just wasn't able to get a hold of you. I knew I was going to be out this way. Figured you sent this in for a reason. It takes about 5 minutes to go over. Where can we sit?
I get a kick out of this one when it's on an appointment. Like, we already did call. Why am I going to call you twice? It doesn't make any sense. I need a few minutes to go over this. Did you want to sit inside or outside? Like, come on. This is just stuff they've said before that worked on the last agent that's already quit and went back to their job. Don't let it work on you. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're right, though. It is. It's like a boxing match, and they're gonna throw stuff at us, and we just got to be able to be equipped to be able to throw stuff right back at them. And yeah, sometimes it'll work, and sometimes, unfortunately, maybe they'll win, and we got to move on to the next. Mm-hmm. I was just wondering what it was about. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, to explain to you exactly what this is about. It takes about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Where can we sit?
I love that one.
Anything else you'd add to that one?
I was just curious what this was all about. Perfect. I'm here to explain what it's all about. Like, if you don't know what else to say when you're at a door, just say, that's actually why I'm here.
Mhm.
And then after you say that, you'll have given yourself 3 seconds to come up with something else to say. Why do you think when people watch, why do you think when people do political debates, they think for a second, they say something, and then they say a thing? It's like a trick that they were taught to stop, say some words that don't really mean anything, and then to say the thing that you want to say. Adam could say, I can't have you in today. I have an infectious stomach bug. Oh, perfect. That's actually why I'm here. I have the same thing. Well, it takes a few minutes. Like, just that's actually why I'm here. And then you can say something that makes sense afterwards.
I got one, Chris. It's not really an objection, but I'm sure you've run into this too. The busy note taker. You ever get those where you sit down and, it's like they just act like they're really busy and like they're really interested, and they're just going to sit there and take notes and take notes and take notes, because they're going to have to evaluate this decision, and they're going to have to think about it for like 4 years before they get back to you. You ever run into that, the busy note taker?
I've seen the Notebook come out before. I don't play into it. Like, that's fine. Maybe they used to take, maybe this is how they process information. That's no big deal. Adam, I had a lady once. She was a bookkeeper. It's a loud noise downstairs. A spot-on bookkeeper. And I go over the options. I lay them out. And she's like, let me check my budget to see if I can afford this. Well, I said something. And she actually goes and gets a physical ledger, brings it downstairs, and smacks it on the table, the size of like an old King James Bible, and flips through a page and writes down a number. I can actually afford $210.05. Oh. And guess what? That's never, ever happened again. Never happened again.
Yeah. I thought about that too. I think I'm going to put together even like a budget sort of thing where you can kind of run through people's budgets with them, when they try to throw that at you. Well, let's talk about it. Let's go through your bills. Let's try to figure out, your income based on your spending habits, and let's see what we can fit in.
Yeah, the issue is though that oftentimes it's another smoke screen. This is, in my opinion, and that's sometimes why we do great trainings, is we have slight deviations of the same opinion. This is such a purely emotional decision. This oftentimes lacks financial logic. Heck, you divide it by this and over that, they're probably going to overpay it. You get the point. It's purely an emotional decision. And the people that we're selling to make emotional decisions, and they don't operate in a form of logic. And if they did, they wouldn't be buying final expense or living where they live or the lives they had. So you got to strike that balance between over logicking somebody and understanding that this is an emotional decision when you're addressing many of the objections that they have.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, I mean, they're not like really into like planning their finances too greatly, or they probably wouldn't need this to begin with. So how much longer is this going to take? I've got to go.
How much longer is this? It depends on how many questions you have, Adam. This really shouldn't take me very long, and I've got 7 or 8 more people to talk to today, so it's only going to take as long as the questions you may have to ask. So, and then you continue forward. Like, you lightly handle the crap that they're spewing, and then you continue forward.
Yeah, I mean, I always say when I get to the door anyways, it takes about 10 minutes. Can I come in? So, right away, I mean, that's enough to be able to sit down. I know that it's probably going to take longer than 10 minutes, of course, but how much longer is this going to take? I got to go. I mean, I don't know. If they're truly interested, they're going to be willing to sit down and hear what you have to say. So it's just a matter of, to me, it's kind of a matter of trying to build that value and maybe piquing their interest a little bit, figuring out what interests them, and, to get them engaged into the conversation maybe a little bit more. I think they're so used to hearing the same thing over and over. They're so used to the same guy that showed up that says all the same stuff, asking about the pictures on the wall and all this other stuff. That's why my presentation, I just like to be a little bit different. I ask different sorts of questions to kind of get the client interested and involved. And I don't really run into this a whole lot. And maybe, if I do, maybe they really are having to run to pick up their grandkid at school or something. Doesn't happen very often though. Usually I'm able to get it done right then and there and am able to overcome this.
There
Uh,
is an occasion, though, not in the overcoming an objection sense, but taking
yeah,
time sense, where it's important that we understand if you spend more than 45 minutes with somebody, their brain stops hearing you. Like there's only so much information you can put in someone's head at one period of time. So if you're taking more than that much amount of time, you got a problem. How much longer is this going to take? If you're having difficulty, honestly, through the sales process with like logging in or something stupid or looking this up or whatever, tell them, Adam, I really appreciate your patience right now. It's going to take me like an extra 5 minutes to really work hard on your case for you. I totally appreciate you being patient with me. Like sometimes you need to be extra like customer servicey, but other times you have to be pushy. It's kind of that salesman balance that you get in sales that I think it's important to understand.
yeah. Well, one thing I like that you said there too, I think that the agent needs to be well prepared. And, we talk about where we use the iPads a lot these days with the e-apps. And it's good to be organized, and it's good to kind of have everything in order. Make sure you have all of your passwords saved in a certain spot for all the different agent portals and just all these little things. It's going to help where you're not stalling, where maybe you get to the point where you are about to get to the app. I mean, I couldn't imagine, like, if you're sitting there, you want that process to be as smooth as possible. And if you're sitting there, like, trying to figure out how to log into a portal for like 10 minutes, that's giving the client time to like reconsider their decision. I want to keep this as smooth as possible to keep everything rolling so we can get to the end and get the things sold and move down to the next. So I think, be prepared, be organized so maybe you're not stalling. And, this probably isn't, usually this is probably going to happen in the middle of a presentation where you just got in there, but who knows? I mean, maybe you're closing it already and you're taking too long. So just, be prepared, have your stuff together. And I think, make that process as smooth as possible and it'll help you. I didn't know this was about death. I don't want to talk about death.
Come on. Again, let's be realistic here. Come on. Do you really think you are the first insurance agent that Miss Mabel has ever spoken to in her 76 years of life? Come on. Do you really think this is the first lead, the first one they've ever filled out? Bro, come on. They get these every 90 days in the mail from you, from the next vendor, from the next captive agency, from Facebook, like all the time. They know what it's about. Like if you don't believe that, that's your fault at this point. They know exactly what happens when they fill out this card. And once you understand that's how the game is played, you're not going to fall for this objection.
No, you're right. And yeah, they got the lead card. They've, like you said, they've gotten these things time and time again. They know what it's about. It's just a matter of, just kind of throwing it back at them. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't know this is about death? I mean,
laugh it off and keep moving.
Just keep moving. Yeah, of course this is what it's about. I already have my insurance taken care of.
Oh, of course you do. This isn't actually the buying more program, Adam. This is to make sure that you're up to date on the new 2024 benefits. Obviously, something's changed. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's good. Straight and to the point. Again, they filled the card out for a reason. They inquired on Facebook for a reason. They know what it's about. They know it's about funerals. They know it's about a way to cover their expenses. One thing I try to make whatever I'm selling different than what they already have. I always try to add that value, but I always talk about the fact that we want to make sure that the money is going to be there for the family when they need it. And these plans are actually designed to cover all the immediate expenses, where other companies, they might take 3 or 4 months to pay that claim out to the family. This is one that's going to pay out right away. So the family's going to have that money to pay the funeral home. I stress that the funeral home is not going to wait around for the money. So, and then I'll tell them what a lot of people do. They'll use this plan as their primary to cover all the immediate expenses. And then the other policy, we just don't know. I don't know of your other policies. I don't know how long those are going to take, but I do know that at least, this one will be there for your family when they need it. So that's kind of how I handle like I said, just always trying to make it a little bit different. It could be, they might have a policy with a company that I'm doing business with. I don't care. I'm still going to make this different than what they already have.
Yep.
So
remember, if you got an objection that you struggle with, drop it in the comment section of wherever you're watching. Heck, if you're watching this on replay, we'll answer it in the future. So if you got one that you struggle with or you don't know how to overcome, we'd be happy to take them today as well.
Yeah. Like I said, put them in the comments. I did get, as you can see, Chris, I mean, we've done this training before. I've added some from some of my new guys that, they put together a list for me. And I said, that's awesome. That way it's always good to kind of get additional input of what people are running into out in the field, because again, I mean, heck, 21 years in the business, there's really not much that an agent could run into that I already haven't. And I mean, the amount of work you put into in 9 years, I mean, same thing. I mean, we've pretty much heard it all. So we know how to handle these things.
Yeah, there's really not that many crazy ones there.
I've already prepaid for my funeral.
Oh, that's cool. These are actually about other benefits that you may qualify for that you were curious about. Just takes a few minutes to go over with you.
There you go. Keep it simple.
Like realistically, if they already did that and then they filled this out, then something happened. Like something happened that had them interested enough to write their name on a piece of paper, walk it out to the mailbox, put it in the mailbox, make an appointment, let you in the home. Something happened. Since that's already been the case, they didn't just do that yesterday.
Yeah. Well, now a prepaid funeral, there's a lot to that as well. I mean, we're talking about the funeral home expense. There could be cemetery costs. Is all of that handled? Like, do you have a plot? Do you have a headstone paid for? Do you have everything at the cemetery taken care of? What about like afterwards? There's usually like a luncheon, food, drinks, all that stuff. Incidentals, who knows? Maybe there's relatives that even would need to be flown in that can't afford to get there. I mean, there's so many just little things. This is designed to cover those sort of things, all the incidentals. It's great that your funeral's already paid for, but we never know any other expenses that could come up. I'm donating. I know this is the one that you love going over, Chris. I'm donating my body to science. I don't need insurance.
Yeah, that one got what, thousands of views on TikTok. The Chinese must have loved it when it hit the algorithm.
Yeah, I guess.
Here's the reality of it. If that's the case, you ask them, Adam, that's awesome. I'm glad that you've done that. Can I see your membership card? The who? The membership card for when you enrolled and were approved for the program. You don't have one. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, let me at least explain how that works and why you need a backup plan, because it's a very admirable thing to do, and I'm glad people do it. But here's a couple reasons why it may not work and you need a backup plan. Number one, you die of some type of situation that requires the police to investigate it. Unwitnessed death, violent crime, car accident, murder, trip and fall, something that requires the police to investigate it. Well, guess what? After they're done investigating, you go to the coroner's office. They investigate you. They cut you open and take a look. And then eventually you can go to the funeral home. But if you're the result of a criminal investigation, you can't be donated to science. Next one, you die 100, 200, 300 miles away from home. Maybe you went to Hawaii or the Caribbean or the 9th cruise of your life. Pretty cool that you've done all those. Guess what? You can't get off the Carnival cruise ship where you died, then get flown back to the body donation service. It doesn't work that way. Next, remember COVID? Well, of course you do. If you die of an infectious disease, they may not accept your body because you might be infected with something that infects other bodies. It doesn't work. You may not want to describe this one to them, but if they're too big, like if Miss Betty is 5 foot, 500 pounds, and she's not going to fit in the cooler, they can't accept her. Or there's not enough room in the inn. Like this isn't the birth of Christ here, but if there's nowhere to put you, they can't accept you, and then you have to have a backup plan. Say many of our seniors live alone and no one sees them for days and weeks at a time, and they die and they begin to decompose. They can't accept that either. There are many different situations you can describe to them in detail. Heck, you could even look this up and show it to them. And then say, I am so glad you have your body planned to donate to science. It's a very respectful thing to do. But let's come up with a backup plan in case something else prevents that from happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's something I think I'll have you send that to me if you have like a list or something. I think that's good. That's good info to share with people because, yeah, that's something, I mean, yeah, we run into if you don't have something right there to kind of help. I mean, I don't think many agents would remember all of those points, but that's pretty good because, like you said, I mean, most people, they just think, oh, they'll take me. I'll donate my body to science and they'll take me. But like you said, I mean, heck, it could be anything. I mean, an accidental death, they're not taking you. Right. It's got to be natural causes, but it can't be due to, like you said, to an infectious disease.
Too far from home.
Just so many.
Unwitnessed death, not enough room.
Yeah,
There's
so many different
why.
Points. Yeah.
And
the
then
chances, I mean, God, what are the chances that they'd actually even take you then?
I mean, honestly. They do take plenty of people. I went to the cadaver lab as a paramedic. It's a real thing. But then what if, Adam, your daughter says she doesn't want that. She doesn't want you donated to science. Then you have a backup plan to pay for your cremation. You just have to redress the lady into a different dress to make it interesting. And if they really don't give a crap at this point, you'll find out pretty quick. But call them on it. Answer the objection. Give them the information. And if they really don't want it, then leave. Go to the next one.
Yeah, that's good. I'm a vet. Nobody is going to have to pay for my funeral.
Oh, that's a good one, Adam. That's awesome. Actually, the first time I ever heard this, I didn't know what to do. I was new to the business, probably almost 8-9 years ago. And you know what I did? Me and the gentleman I was sitting with, we called the veteran cemetery and we asked them because I didn't know the answer. And Adam, you know what they said?
What'd they say, Chris?
Well, they said your service has paid for your spot here, but you have to pay to get here. So we've got a plot and a marker and all that stuff taken care of, but we still need to cover the other costs to get there. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
perfect.
We have a veteran cemetery. We got a veteran cemetery not too far from me. And so that's something, I bring up all the time, well, thank you for your service. Now, are you planning on being buried? Well, if you're planning on being buried, great. Those expenses would be handled at the cemetery, at the National Cemetery. Any other cemetery, though, they're not covered. You'll get with the Social Security death benefit for being a veteran, your family may get a little bit more than just the standard $255. They'll also receive an American flag and a memorial headstone. But yeah, if you're not buried at the National Cemetery, any of the cemetery costs are still going to be, your family's going to still be held responsible for. And if you are buried at the National Cemetery, well, either way, I mean, there's still going to be funeral home expenses, the casket, the preparation. These funeral homes, they want like $1,500 just to show up. So there's money there that is going to have to be needed. Even though you are a veteran, again, thank you for your service. But, I want to make sure that your family is prepared for everything.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, I just think that a lot of the guys, a lot of the veterans that I've sat with, they just don't understand how the whole thing works. Maybe they haven't done their own research and they just assume if I get buried at the National Cemetery, everything's paid for. But those expenses, yes, but everything else, well, there's still going to be expense involved. And another thing, Adam, too, if the spouse is buried there too, they, same thing. The spouse can be buried at the National Cemetery too, but there would be the funeral home expenses. Yeah. Sorry, Chris, what's up?
I also like to ask them in those situations where it sounds like they've got that initial stuff sort of covered. Well, then what? Okay. So you're dead, gone, buried. Most of those expenses are handled. Thank God for that. Now what? Your wife still lives here. The rent's how much? The mortgage is this much. The bills are that much. What now? And then if that's a concern to them, they'll say back, haven't thought about that. That is a problem. And if it isn't a concern to them, you'll find out pretty quick and you can move on to the next person. But just remember, what we're selling, not only is everyone always going to use, but it doesn't just have to be funeral money. It's purely cash. It's a cash benefit, as Lincoln Heritage would say, for them to do with what they please. So if they need to have mortgage payment protection, if they need a spousal plan, we have Adam, 7 different checks, and you could use this and give it out to people that they want. The 7 checks in the home that if the pure final expense sale is not an option, there's 7 other things you can try to create a client opportunity. So I think this is the perfect parlay into that.
Okay. Sounds good. Did you want to go through those now, or maybe that's another?
I'll send them to you. You can pretty them up a little bit. And if somebody wants them, they can request them from your site, and I'll make sure you can make sure to get it out to them.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks. I thought this was free.
Word? Really? they know it's not free. Come on. Are we really falling for this one in 2024? The person is twice your age. And you know that insurance costs money, right? Those of you that are watching and hearing this objection, you know that. That means they know that. Like, this isn't a surprise to them. There isn't all of a sudden a new government program giving away free insurance. They know that that's just advertising. Don't fall for it. Like, actually, Adam, this is actually better than free. Typically, we help people save money or even get money back. I just need a few minutes to go over and see if you qualify for that. Can you go ahead and grab your medicines for me? Just brush it off.
Yeah, there you go. They're filling out the card. People complain about different lead pieces. Oh, it didn't say anything about life insurance on it. Like, people know what these things are. They know what they're for. They say final expense on them. They know what it's for. They know it's not some sort of free government benefit. I mean, our whole country is so broke. You think that there's extra money laying around to be paying for people's funerals? No. That's why this is so important. Mm-hmm. It all looks good, but I don't have any money, and I don't know when I'll have any extra.
That's no big deal. This program doesn't actually start until April 3rd. So we don't have to worry about that today. Can you go ahead and grab your ID so I can say that I saw it?
Hey, there you go. Yeah. I mean, we all know that majority of our clients are on some form of Social Security. So whether that's the first, the third, or the second, third, or fourth Wednesday, more than likely there's some sort of deposit coming in. And so we can figure out a way to make that fit into their budget, especially if we put that value in there and they understand that they know that they need this. Mm-hmm. And again, I mean, that's where I talk about affordability throughout my presentation. I ask them what they can afford before I even put together a quote. Is $60 to $70 a month affordable, or is that outrageous? How about 50 to 60? How about 40 to 50? I mean, sooner or later, they're going to tell me what they can afford. More than likely, this doesn't come up too often. But yeah, like you said, if it does, I mean, well, that's fine. We don't really need any money today anyways. When do you receive your Social Security? When do you get paid? Everything sounds good, but I have to think about it and get back to you.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. What about what I explained today did you not understand? Like, when they say something silly, look dumbfounded. Like, don't play into it. At least this is what I do. It may not work for whoever's watching today or watching in the future, but when they say something that doesn't make sense, I look at them like it doesn't make sense. Everything sounds good, but think about what? Like, what about what I said today? Maybe you didn't understand, so I can re-explain to you. And then they'll answer it. Or the best way that I have overcome objections in the past is to re-ask the objection, and then you'll uncover what they're really worried about. Adam, I totally understand that you said that you need to think about it today, but can you tell me a little bit more about what that actually means? And you know what they'll typically say, Adam? Price or trust. They'll either imply to you it's a price issue, or they're implied to you did a bad job and they don't trust you. One or the other. They don't have to think about anything. Like, none of this is a think about it decision. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think 9 times out of 10. Oh yeah, I think 9 times out of 10 it's about the money. And they just don't want to tell you that. They don't want to tell you that they can't pay for it today. I think a lot of times they just think that they have to have the money today in order to get it started. So, I mean, that's, I would say probably 90% of the time when they tell me that everything sounds good, but they just got to think about it. I'll ask them, I'll say, well, is it about the money? Because I don't need any money today. Now, when do you get paid? Oh, you get paid on the 3rd. Okay. Who's your beneficiary going to be? And just continue moving on through the application.
Yeah, just assume the sale.
Be very assumptive with it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Be
half the
assumptive.
battle. I'd rather you assume your way through an application and they stop you somewhere, because they're either going to say continue through the process or they'll stop you at some point. Just assume that that's what you're there to do, and that's what you do every single time, and that's what you're supposed to do, and you'll do it more often. They're not going to say, well, this is awesome. Can you continue to page 2 of my application to buy insurance from you? Like, you got to assume your way through the process. Otherwise, you're going to miss a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think I can't remember the last time I ever had to ask for the sale.
Mm-hmm.
It's always assumptive. I'll if anything, I'll say, I'll let you tell me what's affordable. And they say, well, I don't know. I think I can probably handle the 10,000. Well, who's your beneficiary going to be?
Oh, cool.
And just
Perfect.
move through the presentation. I don't say, okay, so you want to go with the 10,000 then? I mean, that just sets it up for them to tell you, well, I don't know. I still got to maybe think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Don't open up questions that are going to, push this out further.
Yeah, I think sometimes people will watch this and they'll be upset and they'll click it off because they're waiting for some magic phrase to overcome every objection. Sorry, there isn't one. There just isn't.
Yeah.
Like, these are good things to say when these situations happen, so you're better prepared. But in the end, if you work a 40-hour work week and you put yourself in front of 15 people that are qualified to buy what you're selling, enough of them will say yes to you to do it again next week. It's purely a volume play. We're giving you advice that especially might help you capture more middle of the road kind of sales, more, not the easy low-hanging fruit, but that movable middle. But in the end, you could have the slickest overcoming statement ever, but if you only saw 3 people this week, only one of them are going to buy from you, and then you're done.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Chris. Activity is key. The more people we have to see on a regular basis, you could be pretty bad at this and still be able to pull some sales every week.
You don't have to be good at
this. Like you said, this is more like, you're going to get the easy laydowns. This is to help you, like you said, kind of like right in the middle, get those sales that maybe you just never really know exactly what to say, and you just pack up your stuff and run out the door scared.
Yeah.
This is to help in those sort of situations. But if you got enough leads, you're going to be writing business consistently every single week. So that's, step one. Just make sure you have enough people to see. I don't do anything without talking to my daughter first.
I love this one. Adam, how many times has your dad called you to make a decision?
Never.
Okay, mine either. They're both about the same age. They're both in that senior market demographic. Luckily, they've worked hard enough. They're not desperate for final expense coverage. But like, realistically, our parents don't call us. So why are you believing this one yourself? It's not true, again. And even if it is, all you do is you call out the smoke screen. That's perfectly fine, Adam. You wanted to... can you... Wait, say that one to me again? So I make sure I understand what you said again.
Yeah, everything sounds good, but I don't do anything without talking to my kids first.
Gotcha. Does your daughter pay the rent, utilities, or any of the bills around here?
No.
Okay. Are you able to make like most of your decisions on your own, like going to the doctor if they said take your medicine, like those kind of things?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So you make all your decisions, you pay on all your own bills, but you want to review this decision with her. Am I understanding that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This is something I think it's important. I need to talk to her first.
Yeah, no big deal. Why don't you go ahead, give her a call, or we can get on FaceTime with her. I'll review the information, and then you get a thumbs up from her, and we'll finish up, okay?
Yeah, well, she's at work right now. I can't call her right now.
Not real. Fake. Next. Leave. Pack up your things and leave. It's not real. If this is an actual concern, they will actually do it. And I've seen this happen. I don't say things that I haven't seen happen. If this is not real, leave. Plain and simple.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Or one more. If they really need to talk to someone about it, perfectly fine, Adam. What we'll do is we'll get everything taken care of, get everything approved, policy issued, policy mailed out to you, coverage in place. And then when she has a question about it and you have the policy, have her give me a call and I'll come back and review it. And guess what?
Perfect.
Never calls. They never call because they didn't actually
right.
need it one way or the other.
Yep. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that, the kids, well, I always tell them, I always like to try to paint that picture. Your kids, they don't want to talk to you about this. They don't want to talk about the fact that someday you're not going to be here. And in my experience, when people call their kids about it, their kids just talk them out of it. And that's the last thing that you really want, because, this is for your kids. This is for your children. And it's going to be there to help them when they need the help the most. So kind of like what you said, Chris, I always say, well, why don't we just go ahead and move forward with this today? We'll make sure we can get you covered, and then let your daughter know. And if anything, look at it as the last gift that you're leaving your daughter, because it's going to help her when she needs it.
Well said.
So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to overcome it, but I would also recommend that when you sit down, before you even go over anything, is there anybody else that's really involved with your decision making? It doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, if they tell you, yeah, sometimes that's the case, especially people that are older, like someone I usually maybe won't ask unless they're maybe like late 70s into their 80s, but sometimes when they're 80 years old, their kids are involved with their decision making. So it might not be a bad idea to ask before you even go through things.
The other thing you can do
is
is
make sure that you're not wasting your time.
You could also listen during the warm-up phase. Listen to what they're saying, and listen doesn't just mean waiting for your turn to run your mouth. It means like actively engaged in what they're saying. One of the biggest, earliest applications I ever wrote, $200, $250 a month, old school Foresters. The lady says to me during the warm-up, Adam, my kids are trying to tell me everything, what to do, how to do it. And guess what? I make my own decisions. I buy my own food. I take my own medicine. I do everything for myself. Oh, awesome. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. 25 minutes later. Well, I want to review this decision with my daughter. Well, didn't you just say what you just said about how they're trying to tell you everything to do and you want to own and control your own life? Well, you're right. You know what? I'll take it. Just listen. And these little big sales that I made early on in my career probably just helped me get from one week to the next. I was on a garbage low contract, paying for my leads, working hard, just getting by in the business. These are those little pivotal early moments where this kind of training gives you something to say and something to do. And those kind of applications push you a little bit further into the stable moment of your career.
Yeah. I had one like that not too long ago where actually the appointment setter set up the appointment, and I showed up, and this lady, yeah, I told my brother that I was meeting with you today, and he told me to cancel the appointment. He said, I got plenty of insurance and that I don't need it. But I don't care what he says. I know I need this. So, that's why I didn't want to cancel, because I wanted to sit down with you and talk about it. I put 3 quotes together, and then she's like, well, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to talk to my brother about this first. So then I put together another quote that was a little bit cheaper, and she's like, yeah, that looks good. I don't think I got to talk to him about that. So it was more of a money issue. It wasn't, she was just using her brother then to try to push me out the door. It was a money issue. I found her something that was more feasible, that she was able to fit into her budget, and was able to write the application. So yeah, like you said, you just got to listen. You can throw these things back at them. Because I did.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? You told me earlier your brother, you don't care what he thinks. So why does it matter now? And then I put together a cheaper quote. All of a sudden, her brother didn't matter anymore. And this is another one, I guess you could, I had to talk to my husband. He makes the financial decisions. I would say if it's a husband and wife, I want to find that out before I even go through things. Like if, are you married? Like, is your husband involved? If it's, you don't really want to waste your time going through this with one person when there are 2 people involved in the decision. Yeah. So I would say to try to nip that before it even becomes a thing.
Yeah. I think that it's important to challenge people early on. If you find yourself in a one-leg situation and like you're in the home and you're like, oops, how is this a one leg? And I didn't know it. Just ask them, Adam, Are you able to go through this entire conversation about insurance with me and say yes or no at the end without whoever's opinion? And if they don't give you an affirmative yes, okay, leave. Like, don't even put yourself in that position first off, but challenge them on it. There are situations where some couples do handle certain things separately. Maybe he wants to set this up for her and not tell her about it. But those are the unicorn moments, really. It's not the norm. It's not the average. It's not going to happen all the time. But challenge them on it and see if they really can. Don't wait until the end. If you've caught yourself in that position, ask ahead of time.
Yep, exactly. Like I said, you don't want to, you know, okay, you muted yourself. I saw you were muted. Anyways, yeah, you don't want to waste your time going through the whole thing with somebody for that to come up at the end. Like, figure that out before you even go through things. If you got to set up another time to come back, well, that's fine. You're better off than to waste your time. Go talk to somebody else in the meantime.
I also try not to get into specifics if I'm not sure I have everybody that needs to be there. Like, if I'm door knocking a lead and the lead has two people's names on it, Lisa and Maurice, and I go to the door and Maurice comes to the door. I'm asking for the other person. Hey, I'm looking for Lisa. Oh, she's not here. Okay, no big deal. When is she normally around? What's this for? Some forms she filled out about some benefits. When's she normally around? Oh, after 5. Perfect. Have a good day. I didn't say anything about anything.
That's cool.
And now that I know that she's there around 5, I'll put her in the back of the pile for tomorrow. If I get into an appointment, I have an appointment set and I get to a home and somehow Narendra is actually married and she didn't put that on the card. And she's like, well, my husband's not here. Huh. How'd that happen? Where's he at? Well, he's overseas, incarcerated. Like, okay, he's out of the picture. Like, sometimes we have to use some critical thinking skills to decide, but also understand they typically need the other person there to make the decision.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Let's see. And then, I don't want anyone getting into my bank account for anything.
Huh? What? Who's getting into your bank account? What? Adam, I apologize. Maybe I misunderstood or didn't explain it properly. That's not how this works. No one's getting into anyone's anything. What we're doing is pretty simple, and it's how all things work nowadays. When you get paid your Social Security on the 3rd of the month, the insurance gets paid on the 3rd of the month as well through your bank. So we just need to verify the account information using a statement or an old check or your online banking, and then that's how it's all set up. Or here's another one. You don't want anyone getting into your bank account. Well, I understand, but let me explain a little bit how it used to work and how it works today. Back when you were my age, we used to collect the premium in person. We'd come over, have a cup of coffee, you'd give me $2.10, and that's how you would pay. It's obviously not how it works anymore, right? Of course not. It's not safe, doesn't make sense. We got that. And then you used to be able to mail it in. Well, then remember COVID? There really isn't anyone in an office to mail it into and then take it to the bank. It doesn't work like that anymore. So just like your cable bill, just like your rent, your utilities, your cell phone, all that stuff, same way this is set up. So go ahead and grab that information for me while I get something out of my bag.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, it's just probably a trust issue these days. If you make it all the way through to the end and they're not willing to give you that information, you obviously didn't do a good enough job, because I don't really feel like it's really an issue these days. I can't remember the last time I was in a house and someone did not want to provide me with their bank information or did not want to do it that way. Like, people just kind of understand that's just kind of how it works these days. Yeah. And if anything, it's a convenience. They get their Social Security on a certain date or a certain day. Well, this is just set up to coincide with that. You never even have to worry about it. It's always going to be paid on the same date. Yeah, I don't even really have issues with that anymore. I mean, I used to, always try to come up with ways to overcome that. I just rarely run into it. I mean, if anything, the last time, and I don't even remember how long ago it was that I ran into it, usually I'll just tell them, well, look if you're paying your bills yourself, what if you got sick or something? What if nobody else was handling your bills? You end up in the hospital. I mean, you could come out not even good enough health to be able to get this again, and you might have lost it while you're in the hospital. I mean, just as simple as that. If it was automatically being paid each month, at least you'd know that it was always going to be paid and you would never have to worry about losing it. So That's how I used to overcome it, but like I said, I'm saying used to overcome it because I can't remember the last time it was even an issue. I think phone sales guys maybe run into it a little bit more, but like I said, I think that's more of a trust thing. And it's just, I think it's more of a matter of just building that rapport to the point where they trust you and they like you and they want to do business with you and they're not afraid to provide you with that information.
Yeah, I think that maybe in 2016 we'd have to story sell the situation a little bit more.
Yeah.
But 2024, like almost everything is done this way. This is probably an objection that you're creating. You're speaking into existence. You're not expressing enough confidence. And I also think sometimes they're really just testing you to see if you have a confident answer before they make their final decision. And it really depends on your character. Like you can't be me and you can't be Adam. You got to be yourself. But there are situations where someone will say to me like, I don't give my bank information out to anyone. I'm going to mail in a payment. Well, that's not how this works. Unfortunately, I understand what you're saying, but that's not how this works. So if you want insurance, it has to be set up through the bank. So go ahead and grab that information for me while I continued some typing. You just tell them no. Like you wouldn't walk into the airport and tell TSA, I don't take my shoes off for anybody. That's not how this works. Like, are you in control of this conversation or are they in control? That's really the root of a lot of these issues, is a control of the conversation issue. Would you just walk onto a cruise ship and say, I am cruising on this boat today? Where's your ticket? I don't need a ticket. I don't need tickets. No, like, let's be realistic about things here. Take control over the conversation and this won't come up as often.
Well, and if you get that objection these days, it could be a lot of the reason behind it that they're not good with managing their money.
Yeah.
Maybe they had other bills that NSF'd, and so they don't trust themselves. Well, then that's probably business that you want to walk away from anyways.
Yeah.
Because the chances of you writing a piece of business that's going to stick where every single month it's going to be paid is probably pretty slim. So, if they really are objective to that, move on to the next, because more than likely it's probably just not good quality business that you'd want to write anyways.
Yeah. Adam, let me drop one more tip here for those listening or watching. If they give you the information ahead of time, just take it and put it to the side. Anytime your potential client is giving you a thing, take it and put it to the side. You may never have any use for it, but it's psychological. They're giving, you're receiving. They're giving, you're receiving. They're giving you a thing that's important to them. You're looking at the thing. They could give you their darn bus pass. Oh, perfect. No big deal. Just put it to the side here. Just, I don't need that. Whoa, why doesn't he need that? Like, it's the psychological resistance that you've now created in the sale. They give you a glass of water and a disgusting looking cup. Don't drink it. Just take it. Give and receive. They give you a policy. Here's the real pro tip. You're upgrading an old policy. Guess what it typically has in there? The bank information, their social security number, the name of their beneficiary. If they're giving you something like an insurance document, it might have that in there. Look for it, and you don't have to ask for something you already have. Oh, confirm it. That's always a good idea.
Yeah. I was just going to say.
They're giving it to you sometimes.
That's it. And some of these objections too. I mean, how many objections do you run into even when you first walk in? I mean, I've had them where, a couple of things. Either if this is one of those plans where I got to wait 2 years, I don't even want to sit down and talk about it. Or they might say, if this is one of those plans that's got to come out of my bank every month, I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, how many times do you run into something like that? And then you go through the whole thing and you write up a modified policy on the person. No big deal.
You just
once you take the time, once you take the time to go through it with them, and then they see value in it, and you create some urgency, making big deals out of their health. Well, then they're willing to move forward. It's like, you got to do better than the last person that they were able to shut down, that probably walked out before they were even able to get started.
Here's another way to look at it. And I know we're getting close to the end of our time. They're either knee-jerk comments, like when you walk into a store and they say, oh, how can I help you find anything? No, I'm just looking. No, you probably are looking for something specific. You just say that by accident. They could be a smokescreen, like call them out on it and uncover it. Or even more, it could be a buying question. Like, what if this objection that's getting your heart rate up and you're getting upset about and you're trying to overcome It's just a buying question. Like they're purely curious, and this is their way of asking a question before they decide to buy the insurance. So if you reframe your mind into thinking that this isn't an objection, but a buying question, it becomes a lot easier to overcome.
That's kind of the mindset you have to have anyways, I think, going in. I mean, I do. I know they filled the thing out for a reason. That's why I'm there. Like we said, it's more of just, you got to be assumptive throughout the entire process. And yeah, like you said, make any objection more of a buying signal. And a lot of times they're just afraid to move forward. They're afraid to move forward. They are living on a limited income, but just got to figure out a way to make it work for them because we know they need it. I think we only got maybe one or two more. Oh no, that was it.
Oh.
Okay, perfect. Good timing. So yeah, additional training, check out my website, adambrsan.com/training. If you go to my website too, adambrsan.com, if you click on the link that says free, there is a form that you can fill out for the policy review, the sample policy kit that I put together that I've been sending agents. If you ever run into a house and maybe they already have insurance, I have a lot of different tools and tips and sample policies that you can pull out in this document that can maybe help you to make a sale. You can even compare it to maybe what they currently have. Just kind of gives you a little bit of ammo so you know how a lot of the different companies work out there. You can use that form too and just put even in the notes if you want a copy of like what we talked about today and what Chris mentioned, just the 7 different reasons that people buy life insurance. Let me know. I can get that to you. And also I can send you a copy of Overcoming Objections. I'll put together a document for that as well, overcoming all of these different objections. And so yeah, that's about all I had for today. And if you need to reach me for anything, there's my info. Check out the YouTube channel. New content is being added daily. Also on TikTok, also on Spotify and on Apple on our podcast. So, and again, the podcast, you can listen while you're out working during the day. Heck, this will be posted probably within the next few days. Just these are things that you can take advantage of. You can listen to while you're out in the field working that will just help you to get better. I mean, that's all I do when I'm out working. I'm listening to content, sales content, motivational stuff, mindset stuff, just to kind of keep me moving throughout the day. So that's why, we put that together too. I just posted our 53rd episode already on Spotify and Apple last night. So wow. We are cruising along. I've been trying to put at least 3 or 4 episodes a week on there. So check it out and follow. And again, any feedback, any comments are appreciated. If you have different topics that you would like us to cover, feel free to throw those down. Any topics for a podcast. Heck, maybe you are a top producer and you want to be on a podcast. Maybe you got other things going on that you'd like to talk about. We're always welcome to having people on as well. So if you'd want to maybe have the opportunity to kind of tell the world about yourself and what you do, we have a platform to help you do it. So thanks again. And, thanks again, Chris, for hopping on and joining me to kind of go through the different objections and how to overcome them. I hope the information that we provided you guys today was insightful and will help you to, heck, maybe make an extra 1 or 2 sales every week from what you learned today. So thanks again. See you again next Monday, same time, same place. And you can watch the replay of this coming Sunday on the Insurance Life and Everything in Between Facebook group. Thanks again.
Take care.